Kevin Chaos. Intuition. Trance. Knowledge. Distractions. Time. These are some of the things that you're going to hopefully understand a little more versus manipulation in this video. Okay. Intuition. Intuition is a gut feeling. Intuition is more popular in females, or I should say more active in females than it is in men. There's a lot of reasons for this. Females are more, well, they're kind of all one and the same actually. Females are more emotional. They have more estrogen. We're more critical in thinking. We have more testosterone. The difference between, for the most part, a gender being born, or how far you lean toward one or the other, is the dominance and chemical secretion of the brain's left and right hemispheres. Speaking of the left and right hemispheres, electrocardiographic, the EKG, that measures your brainwave activity, the four main states of consciousness, beta, alpha, theta, and delta. Of course, there's the fifth, gamma. Just like you see 5 main elements, but we'll go into that at another time. Is determined by the EKG between the difference of the left hemisphere's dominant frequencies and the right hemisphere's dominant frequencies. For example, if I was broadcasting 8 hertz versus 4 hertz, 8 minus 4 is 4. 4 falls within the range of delta frequency, which is deep, dreamless sleep, 0 to 4 hertz. Anyway, so time, manipulation, intuition. It's very interesting, really. We say we don't have the time. Make the time to meditate, to take a break from being overwhelmed by all of this. A Reiki master once told me you should meditate a minute a day for every year that you've been alive. So, if you're 28 years old, you should meditate 28 minutes a day. And if you don't think that you have the time, meditate longer. It's very important. Our senses are overloaded every day by all this extra information, even invisible to the physical, naked human eye spectrum information. Now, there are 2 ways to achieve trance. Sensory deprivation. See the movie Altered States. It's a really good movie based on real research, where all the senses were deprivated from a person, wearing goggles so they couldn't see, being submerged underwater so they didn't really have the same sense of feeling, breathing oxygen so they couldn't smell. You get the idea. And a lot of people that were put through these sorts of experiments found religious experiences, even a lot of them being the same experience, and they were considering it, the idea that by removing all of the physical senses, there would only be one sense left, the God sense, the spiritual sense, the spirit. At least that was the hope. And there were some interesting and fascinating results. So there are 2 ways of achieving trance. That is to say, an altered state of consciousness. One is sensory deprivation. One is sensory overload. These are the 2 main methods. Okay. Sensory deprivation. You can try this easy. Want to see how weird and different you feel? Plug up. Take some those little styrofoam thingies that people use to, like swimmers. I don't know what they're officially called, earplugs, but there's got to be a more specific name. Take earplugs or make your own and highly deafen your ears. Go all day like that. See what happens. It's very fascinating. Try spending the entire day, especially if you're not a quiet person, not uttering a word. Being calm and still. See what happens. You've deprived even just one sense with those 2 experiments. And it changes a whole lot. Now consider the main way that they use manipulation and sensory overload against you. I walk into a grocery store like a Farm Fresh or a Food Line sometimes, and I'm like, it's like I'm stepping into a comic book. Everything is so vibrant and colorful. There's colors everywhere, unnatural colors clashing with each other, arguing with each other, slowing you down, putting you into that robotic shoplift stupor. Shopping. Funny. But that's just another way to achieve trance, sensory overload. News. Everybody knows the majority of news is fake. Okay, the mainstream media, MSM. Really like how Donald Trump talks about it, because it doesn't matter what his agenda or what's true versus a lie. Hey, we got someone high up talking about some shit that's exposing at least some of the truth. You got to be thankful for that. And with the news, you'll notice a lot of news and these types of shows, these talk shows and things where you're supposed to be manipulated while you're sitting at home, conveniently located where we know to find you, watching your slave box where we can suggest to you ideas and sciences and what to buy. You'll notice half circles. Look at a halo. Look at all of this symbology and stuff we're used to seeing. That goes along with anchoring again, but it also goes along with sensory overload. You'll see there's dozens of circles, or the countdowns, which is hypnotism, putting you down into a trance. Top 10. Dang, we're stupid, ain't we? Yeah. And you'll see all those circles moving around at light speed. So much going on within that first second to 5 to 20 seconds of the show where they got all the and so much stuff goes on. You've already been inducted in trance, and they try to do that every commercial break or every chance they get, because a lot of what people don't understand is the more times you bring someone in any level, even a light level of trance, the more times you bring them in and out of trance, the easier it is to just instantly, when you desire to, bring them back into trance again. And it makes it easy to suggest to them new ideas. So the whole time people don't realize it's going on, because too much is going on for them to focus on and see it. So finding the time to make the time for me time, for meditation time, is very, very crucial if you want to survive, if you want to be aware, if you do not want to be manipulated. Very important. Take the time, become aware. Then a couple exercises I should probably aid you in is simply taking the time to breathe. Dude, breathe, dude, breathe. You hear that when you're stressed out? Do it. Focus entirely on that breathing. Let your own consciousness void all the other crap that's overwhelming, whether you realize it or not, and simply focus on your belly rising and falling. Bring yourself down. You're the one in control if you want to be. It's only when you start allowing all of this other suggestion that you're ignoring to control you that you're so easily controlled. And it's only when you're not aware, when you don't know the arts at play, that you're controlled. You learn through the occult, through spirituality, through witchcraft, through all of these alternative means of education, really. You learn that being educated against the adversary protects you. Once you know what these symbols are, your mind catches it in advance, and you cannot be harmed by anything they could mean. Once you know the countdown, it starts to affect you less and less, because your mind already says, well, I don't want that to happen, so here's what the countdown means to me. Now, when it comes to willpower and witchcraft and other similar terms, it's important to note that it's your will that determines a lot of it. So if you already don't even know, someone else's will is overriding yours just because you're ignorant. But if you have the willpower, say, for anxiety, this is a good one. A lot of people think anxiety is a bad thing. I have the worst anxiety you can imagine. 1,000-fold a normal individual. But something I notice, it's a choice. Not the anxiety part, what it means. If I'm having an anxiety attack right now, flipping my shiza, what if I decided at the exact moment it hit to tell myself, this doesn't mean panic. This means I'm going to have a vision. This means I'm going to understand something better. I give it a different meaning. And all of that energy, all of that vibrating within you that's going to go into panic because it's really just overwhelming. It's just an abundance of energy and your body can't process this. Okay? Gets redirected because the conscious person is slowing and narrowing down their thoughts to, instead of focusing on just panic or overwhelmed by all of this stuff at once, they put their brain and their energy towards something else. Now look at children doing the same thing as their kids. Why don't kids cry as much when they get hurt? Because they focus entirely on the pain and they're not thinking of it in terms of the word pain, good or bad. They aren't taught to ignore it and focus on a whole bunch of other shit or lie to themselves just yet. Instead, they simply acknowledge it for what it is. And it goes away. Because they're not ignoring that command, that signal. Instead, they did the opposite. They focused entirely on it and then turned it into what they will. All sublimity, all intuitively, all without knowledge of words and concepts that we've taught ourselves to manipulate our own selves and each other today. I hope that you continue to think about some of these things as I try as fast as possible to bring this series together. There will be a much more detailed section for videos, but for now, I'm Kevin Chaos. Peace.